A pretty girl with a small traveling bag was walking along the train. The conductor intuitively felt that she was looking for her carriage. "Tell me, is this the 9th car?" the girl asked. "9," the conductor replied after a moment's hesitation. She immediately appreciated the slender figure and lush brown hair, green eyes, nice fresh face, and the smell of expensive perfume. The girl exhaled a sigh of relief and began to rummage through her small purse in search of a ticket, without letting go of the travel bag from her hand. In another situation, the conductor would have volunteered to help to hold the bag, but she didn't like the girl. "I'm like a curse running around on trains, and my 14-year-old son is waiting at home. He has, by the way, a difficult age. I'd give up this damn road, but at home you can't earn such money. Here there is an additional income besides the salary," thought the conductor, watching the girl. "And this one God presented all the blessings of the world on a silver platter. And for what? I try not to look in the mirror. What's there to look at? Wrinkles on my tired face. Not hair, but hemp. In my eyes a hopeless longing." The conductor's lips, thin as they were, tightened into a string. The girl finally took out her passport and ticket and smiled guiltily. The conductor checked the name in the passport with the name on the ticket. "4th compartment." She returned the documents to the girl. Veronica thanked and went up to the car, but stopped on the platform and anxiously looked around the platform. Is she waiting for her husband? On his finger is a wedding ring. He has not come to see her off, glittered the eyes of the conductress. But then she saw a young man with a sports bag over his shoulder hurrying toward her carriage. "Hello," he said and held out his passport with a ticket enclosed in it. The conductor followed his gaze and saw the joyful face of the girl in the doorway. She dabbed at the ticket. "That's the way it is. Going to the same station, in the same compartment. Lovers. I see, lovers. Well, what injustice is this? Both husband and lover are handsome, and here they have neither. Is something wrong?" asked the guy, concerned about the too long study of documents. "Come into the car." The conductor gave the guy a stern look and handed over the documents. "Wow, she's so strict," smiled the boy. In another time she would have smiled back at him, but he is going with this one, who has the whole world in her pocket. The mood was finally spoiled. They announced the departure of the train. The conductor went up to the carriage, made sure that there were no late passengers in sight, and locked the door. When she entered the 4th compartment, the young men broke away from each other and looked at her. The conductor sat down opposite them. "Tickets, please," she said dryly. The guy let go of the girl's hand and took 2 tickets out of his jacket pocket. "She looked at me as if I had stolen something from her," said Veronica, as the conductor slid the compartment door behind her. "She's jealous of your beauty and youth. Her second youth is long behind her. Her husband left, she has 2 sons at home, and she is chronically short of money." Philip hugged his friend again. "Do you know her?" "It's the first time I've seen her. Her face says it all. Should we give her money so that she doesn't move in with us?" Felipe asked Veronica nonchalantly. "No need. We have 2 whole days ahead of us," Veronica said dreamily, and laid her head on his shoulder. They got off 6 hours later at a small station. The boy was carrying both bags. The girl clung to him, taking him under her arm. The conductor shivered from the morning chill, threw a frown at the departing couple, and slammed the door. She immediately put the happy couple out of her mind. Veronica and Philip walked to the hotel on the next street. It turned out to be a decent one, with a modernly furnished room. Philip put the bags down on the floor and hugged Veronica. "At last we were alone." They kissed for a long time. Breakfast in the restaurant from 7. "We have half an hour." Philip stepped to the big bed, taking Veronica with him. "Why don't you tell your husband? Sooner or later he'll figure it out." "I can't go on without you," said Philip, breathing heavily. "Give me time. You know he saved my mom. He's the reason she's alive. I can't just walk away from him. You've already repaid his help with a whole year of living with him. You're young and he's an old man." Felipe kept up. "Please don't push me." Tears glistened in Veronica's eyes. "I'm sorry. I go crazy when I think how you are with him. Let's get up. I'm hungry." "Go to the shower first," said Veronica. "Shall we do it together? Then we'll be late for breakfast." Veronica chuckled and pushed against Felipe's side, pushing him to the edge of the bed. She admired his slender, naked figure. "Sweetheart, love, I would leave my husband even now if I could." Veronica covered her eyes. From the bathroom she heard the sound of pouring water. When she was with Philip, they were looked at with interest and envy. And when she went to a restaurant with her husband, they took him for her father. And when they found out that he was her husband, they looked at her with regret and pity. Lately they hadn't been going out together. The age difference between them was too marked. 2 days flew by unnoticed. Inexorably approached the time of departure. Veronica couldn't hide her sadness. "Hey, what's wrong?" Philip looked into her eyes. "You'll soon get tired of hiding, and you'll fall out of love with me," she said quietly. "Silly. I love you more than my life. I'd kill your husband if you wouldn't cry and go back to him." "Don't say that. Lovers swear." Veronica grinned bitterly. He began to kiss her, soothing her, picking tears from her cheeks and eyes with his lips. They loved each other again, trying to get enough breath. Like criminals before their execution. When they arrived at the station, there was no one on the platform. It was a quiet, cool night. Veronica pressed her back against Philip, swallowing back the tears that were bursting out. A horn sounded in the distance, announcing the approach of a train. "That's it. That's it," Veronica repeated like an incantation. Stopping, the train blew a wave of warm air, smelling of sleepers and road. The door of the 9th car opened. The conductor recognized them at once. "Hello, we'll be traveling with you again," said Philip, smiling. Veronica's eyes glistened with tears. She noticed the conductor's concerned look and smiled too. "I see the date has come to an end. I don't want to part," thought the conductor. She suddenly felt sorry for the unhappy lovers. Veronica lay on the bottom shelf and could not sleep. She listened to Philip's steady breathing above her. What if her husband really does guess? But he won't kill her? Maybe Philip is right. I should confess to him. After all, he knows I don't love him. When he proposed to me, I said yes for my mom's sake. I wasn't sure she was going to be all right. It seemed like the only right thing to do at the time. And then Philip came along. Veronica remembered how she had closed her eyes and turned away from her husband's stale breath in bed. How she had thought of Philip in those moments. God, but why is it like this? Yes, he saved Mom. I'm grateful to him, but even gratitude has limits. Mom's alive, and I'm suffering as if her disease has taken over. What am I supposed to wait for? A cure or the end? Mom doesn't understand that I don't need anything. No apartment, no car, that I'm suffocating like a bird in a cage. If it weren't for Philip, long ago I would have. Veronica looked at a wristwatch. It was already quite light. She got up, dressed, and touched Philip's shoulder. He immediately opened his eyes, realized everything from her tense face, and jumped down from the top shelf. "You awake?" He noticed the dark circles in her eyes and shook his head. The doors slammed in the carriage. The passengers were getting ready to leave. Veronica kissed Philip for the last time, hardly got away from him, and went out with her bag into the vestibule. The suburbs were already glimmering outside the windows. Someone else came out and stood behind Veronica, but she knew it wasn't Philip. They had agreed not to go out together. Her husband could meet her. The train began to slow down, and Veronica begged it not to stop. But the station building was already floating outside the window. The train jerked a couple of times and stopped. The conductor sneaked to the door, caught Veronica's unhappy look. She was surprised at the pain in her eyes. Veronica went down to the platform. She was immediately approached by a man in his 50s. The conductor thought it was her father. The man took the bag and kissed the girl on the cheek. She subtly deflected her head. Is it really her husband? The conductor did not envy the girl, but felt sorry for her, looking after the strange couple. "Goodbye." The guy was the last to get out of the carriage. He didn't smile. The conductress went back to the carriage to check if anyone was left behind, if she had forgotten something. She was already thinking about her son, forgetting about the guy and the girl. How many more will there be? "I'm tired. I'll take a shower and go straight to sleep," said Veronica, entering the apartment. She turned on the water and cried for a long time, sitting on the edge of the bathtub until her husband knocked on the door. "It's okay. I'll be right there," Veronica replied. She came out of the bathroom, lay down on the bed in her bathrobe, and turned her back to the wall. And soon she really fell asleep. Through her sleep she heard the door slam. Her husband had gone to work. When Veronica woke up, the clock showed 11 o'clock in the morning. She got up and took her cell phone from her jacket. There were no messages or calls from Philip. She tried to call him herself, but there was no answer. Veronica felt inexplicably anxious. This didn't sound like Philip. She couldn't find a place calling and calling him. Then she thought to call at work, but Philip wasn't there either. So Veronica went to his house. "Who do you want?" A woman's voice sounded behind her as Veronica pressed the call button in despair. "Philip, have you seen him today?" Veronica took her finger off the bell button. "Yeah, about 8 o'clock. He left with a very distinguished-looking man. I was just letting my cat outside." Her heart raced, her stomach rose to her throat. Veronica rushed down the stairs, into the fresh air. She returned home and sat in front of the television until evening, tormented by anxiety and uncertainty. This morning there was an accident. The driver fell asleep at the wheel of a foreign car and flew into the oncoming lane. A large dose of powerful drugs was found in his blood. An investigation is underway. The announcer was speaking, and the camera paused on the license plate number. Veronica looked at the battered car with all her eyes and didn't hear her husband enter. She felt him sit down next to her. She immediately jumped up from the couch. "It's you, it's all you." Her eyes burned with hatred. "You killed him," she screamed. "What are you talking about? Who did I kill?" Her husband asked calmly. "You did. You found out about us, tracked us down and decided to kill him. You planned the whole thing. I wish you had killed me, because I can't live without him. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you." Veronica screamed and couldn't stop. A blow to the head cut short her scream. She couldn't keep her feet and fell to the floor. Her husband immediately hovered over her, not allowing her to get up. "Do you hate me? For what? That I saved your mother from death? Ungrateful bitch." Veronica's head jerked to the side from the blow, vertebrae snapping in her neck. The next blow knocked her unconscious. When she regained consciousness, her whole body ached, every inhalation a searing pain in her chest. Her husband shouted something, sputtering. Then he swung again, but the doorbell started ringing and pounding. It was the neighbors who heard the screams. A doctor came into the room where Veronica was lying. "The investigator wants to talk to you." "If you don't want to?" "Why?" Veronica whispered. "I don't know. Your husband beat you. I think that's why." "Why did you save me? Why?" Veronica was hysterical on the bed. She felt a prick in her arm and collapsed. Her eyelids became heavy and Veronica fell into a dream. And when she woke up, the doctor said that now she had no right to dispose of her life, because another life was growing inside her. Veronica listened to herself. The first minute she was afraid it might have been her husband's baby, but the timing didn't add up. 5 weeks ago he'd been in the hospital with a heart attack, and then he didn't touch her for a long time. It's Felipe's baby. There can't be any mistake. When she was released from the hospital, she went straight to Felipe's grave. A cross, a few wreaths, a framed photograph and a plaque with the dates of birth and death, with 28 years of life in between. "Hello, I couldn't come any sooner. You're going to have a son. I'm sure of it. I'll name him Felipe. I miss you very much. I'll go to my mom's, but I'll come back." Tears ran down Veronica's cheeks. Then she went to the church and put a candle for the repose of the soul of the newly deceased Philip. "Who died, mother?" a gaunt old woman asked. Noticing the tears on Veronica's face, she brushed crumbs of wax from the surface of the square candlestick into her palm. "Husband. So young and a widow." The old woman shook her head. "God doesn't give trials for nothing." "Any children?" Veronica nodded. "That's a comfort. That's the consolation." The old woman said something else, but Veronica interrupted her. "Tell me, do they put candles for suicides?" God said, "Forgive, and it will be forgiven you." Was he baptized? "I don't know. Suicide is a mortal sin, but he could have repented, changed. We don't know the ways and judgments of God." Veronica couldn't put a candle for her husband who killed himself in the detention center. She put it for her mother's health and then left the temple. She still has to pack her things. She can't live here. She'll go to her mom's, and then it will be seen now her life made sense again. For the sake of her son,